What do you think happens to you after you die? My family sells all my stuff way under value. My family sells all my stuff way under value. Don't flatter yourself. We are hiring a dumpster. Dumpster? My ass would fit in a single 55-gallon trash bag. Yeah. Dumpster is luxury. Hell, my corpse is going to be thrown in the same trash bag as everything else. My dad would always say about his funeral, just yeet me behind the rhododendrons. Well, actually he didn't say yeet, but I've updated it for the Gen Z readers. In the end we did plant a rhododendron on his grave. I imagine it's like when you fall asleep unexpectedly or go under for a surgery and you wake up out of a haze. Minus the waking up part. You know how it felt in the millennia before we were born? I'd imagine it'll be a lot like that. That's usually my perspective when this is brought up in conversation. I usually say an event like, what was it like for you when the Titanic sank? Reminds me of a comment I read years ago, I think on an AMA a blind person did, and when someone asked them what they see, if it's all black, they answered, what do you see from your elbow? I also heard the example, close one eye. Now look through that closed eye. What do you see? Spectator mode. That would be so entertaining, tbh. I could pick a favorite family or two and watch their lives. Or I could go into the wild and do the same with their animal. I could see a murder and see if the real killer is found. Sounds way more fun than life. But if the killer isn't found, then it's like a show you love getting cancelled after a huge cliffhanger. Or even worse, the wrong person is blamed. This one is like a show you love, but instead of getting cancelled, it gets shitty writing in the final season. I don't know, but I'm going to put off finding out first and for as long as I reasonably can. Great example of survival instincts. We are here because all species have the instinct to avoid death at all costs. Correction, all species have the instinct to propagate their genes. While this usually leads to an instinct to not die, if death can lead to a higher chance of survival for one's offspring, relatives, tribe or species, it may be acceptable. Some parasites or mems may also hijack the process, causing their host to self-destruct for their own propagation. In some species, like mice and hamsters, and I believe otters, they will sacrifice or kill their young if danger is present, so the parent can survive. BC, the parent can make more babies, but the babies would be less likely to survive anyway. Found this out when our middle school gerbils ate their own babies. BC, they were close to the snake enclosure. Oh no, a snake might eat my baby. Sigh. Unless I eat my baby before it does. What's the rush? We'll find out soon enough. I won't be zombie. You'll decompose in like a week. Or 11 years. It depends if they renew the contract or not. It was always that everything goes black and you just don't exist anymore. Myso believes that you die and you get to live in your own little paradise, and I've always loved the idea of that. I just wish I could believe it. It's also been super sweet to hear from him that I'm gonna be in his little paradise. Kinda like in Supernatural. Their vision of paradise is amazing. That sounds interesting. Which episode is that? There's 2 episodes where they go to heaven. The nicer version is in the finale. Carry on, but the first time they go is in A Bad Day at Black Rock. Also throughout one of the seasons, Castiel likes to visit the paradise of an autistic man because it's that man's happiest memory and it's just a calm place. I've wrestled with this question mightily the last 10 plus years after the loss of several significant loved ones, wife, father, and at this point, after all this searching, questioning and pondering, my thought is, what does it matter? Whatever happens, closing my eyes the final time, to fade into oblivion and complete annihilation, eternal bliss on some heavenly plane of existence, an eventual return to another life as another aspect of me or something I have never even imagined. I cannot change it. I cannot alter it. I cannot run from it. All I can do is live the rest of my life the best I can each day, savoring every moment, with love, appreciation and gratitude until that time comes. Agreed. My first husband died of leukemia after his second transplant failed. He had a 6-week prognosis, but lived another 2 years. He went from drug trial to drug trial, dramatic recovery to relapse, surfing the wave of new discoveries. He just wanted to live so damn bad, and thought if he could live long enough to get into a CAR-T trial he might be cured. He almost made it. Our kids were young, and every response was such a victory. That extra 2 years was such a gift. It changes your perspective on time when every day counts and you keep getting miraculous extensions. Knowing that he's not going to survive to see them grow up, but just wanting a little more time. One more trip home. I never have a bad day anymore. Even on my absolute worst day, I think about how damn hard he fought for just one more day on this world, to be with our kids, and treasure all my minutes. When we were first married he once said he would die for me, and I think about that often. In a way, I feel like he did, and that's the gift he left me. I'm sorry for your loss. That was beautiful. What a legacy. Bless you. I'm no different than people who die today. The sun shall rise again, and word will keep on rolling tomorrow just fine without me. Nah, I'll miss you, Pat. Thank you, kind stranger. Have a nice weekend. You shit. If my studies are accurate, joke's on you. I'm going to take a rest right before I die. Actually, a statistically significant number of people die on the toilet while taking a shit. May the odds be ever in your favor. I found my grandfather dead on the toilet. A paramedic who came to the scene told me that the pressure of a heart attack makes some people think they are about to take a shit, so they go to the toilet and die there. He said they see it all the time. To add to this, my dad is a paramedic / firefighter and a scout sniper when he was in the Marines. Most people, aneurysms and sudden deaths aside, know something is wrong, and due to how we live people think going to the bathroom is what they need. I can't speak for anyone else, but personally I know when I feel off I go and sit on the toilet, cause even if it ain't a resting problem I think there's no harm in trying. Humans are smart as F, but we don't know S about S either. If we haven't been trained on it, we know enough to know something is wrong, but we don't know enough inherently to know we need an ambulance / hospital vs going to the bathroom. Basically I'm drunk and SS crazy. The ones who love us will miss us. I like this. The people we have interacted with during our lifetimes will remember us, hopefully fondly. It is interesting to think about how remembrance will change in the information age. In the past, without digital documentation, it would not be surprising for all records and memories of a person to be gone after maybe 5 generations of their passing. But now almost everyone has digitized files, pictures, notes, save for an apocalyptic event. Will all of this be saved for all time? Will some punk great grandson of mine be able to open up the journal file I keep and read it if he for some reason wanted to? I'm gonna put a fart joke in there. This is really comforting. I think for me the saddest part of it is that the good that I do, the people that I influence, family I raise, and efforts I put in will all forget me, and that's super self-centered. And it's also untrue, because us lucky enough to be alive during this time are essentially immortal absent a catastrophic world melting event. Now you can play as Luigi. I'm one step ahead of you. Username checks out. Something I find to be comforting every time I think about this death is that you die and see yourself at the moment you were happiest. I don't know much about my life, being I'm relatively young and really haven't gone through that much of life. But I think that if I died right now I would be back with my ex and laughing at 3 AM about stupid stuff while we don't have a care in the world about anything else. But maybe that will change in the future, but right now I wouldn't be too upset if I died. I spend too much of my time wanting to go back to that too. I hope it changes for me, but I don't know how to want anything else. You return to that state of non-existence before you were conceived. After being in a brief trauma-related slumber I recollect nothing. Blank. Didn't exist for a while. I remember during recovery that I didn't fear death as much as I had previously because I was comforted by non-existence. Maybe biased, I definitely feared it less than the propoful dreams. Dear goodness. Same thing happened to me. It was straight up nirvana. Pretty much cured my depression. I feel like I know what awaits, and I hope it's that. I'm just here experiencing things while I can out of pure curiosity. Thanks for saying this. Several billion years later, an incomprehensible powerful machine intelligence scans the cosmos and extrapolates backwards to determine what material components would need to be arranged to perfectly replicate my consciousness. It consumes the power from a dozen star systems, snuffing out trillions of sapient beings to perform this digital resurrection. Once I'm fully aware, it asks me the question, what is Mambono? 5. I sing the song and it immediately becomes stuck in the head of the suburgid, driving it quite mad. It splinters apart in a vain effort to preserve some functionality. The spawn spread across the universe, spreading Mambono 5's irresistibly catchy rhythm wherever they go. Eventually Lao Bega himself is resurrected, and I'm made his chief apostle. The universe unites under him, and a new era of peace follows. Pretty sure it's that, or the Macarena, in which case may the suburgid have mercy on our souls. Oh my god. It's like falling asleep, and not waking up. I find that comforting. The final I don't give a fuck. I find that the exact opposite of comforting. I hope something like reincarnation, but it's probably just nothing. Like we just end and we are not aware that it's nothing, but it is. Careful what you wish for. Everyone thinks they'll end up as something cool like a lion, but nobody thinks about how insects and bacteria make up some of the largest populations of life on Earth. Maybe you'll be gut bacteria for some rat. Or a slug that a kid wants to pour salt on. You go back to the character creation screen. I'm a simulationist. This time I'm using my points to build up charisma and assertiveness instead of using them on whatever I'm good at now. Based on your username, you dumped all of your points into 69. Or dumped 69 points into liquor skills. I picked 69 because 1 to 68 were taken. That's a lot of D-liquors. Probably nothing. I think it's probably like when we are asleep and not dreaming. I was fine before I was born. I'll be fine again. I felt no pain, no struggle before I was born. If life is majorly about suffering, why would I be scared of the death? Well, backquote, you wasn't a concept until you were born. Backquote, you didn't exist, which nobody can ever comprehend the concept of pre-existence. It's life trying to visualize a dimension other than the first three. It's impossible because we have no idea what it actually feels like to not exist. This is hard to explain because of the language barrier. English is not my first language, but I will try my best. First off, I ain't saying this is truth, nor trying to make an argument against anyone. It's only an idea of my belief and what I think about existence. I would say conscious of each individual doesn't exist until he/she was born. However, talking about our physical form, our body, flesh has long existed, but in different forms of nature. Our flesh were nutrient. They were molecule. My point being is that our physical form has long existed before our self-conscious take place. Self-conscious, spirit, whatever word helps you knowing. So in this idea, I always find it hilarious, but fascinating at the same time, that the water we drink every day might used to be someone's sweat/urine in the past. I hope this idea makes sense to you. Regarding the original life and death topic, if you are curious I can make extension of it, though I don't think anyone cares, haha. So I'ma stop it here. Edit. Typo. We are a transient wave of matter. Atoms that, for a brief moment, dance together to the rhythm of thought. Nothing. You know how sometime you fall asleep then wake up, and it felt like no time passed, and no memory of between, when you fell asleep, and when you woke up. Like that, but with no waking up. Yeah, I feel like that's how it'll go. It's kind of a scary thought about how it might be infinite nothingness, but tbh, how would you even know that? You won't be able to comprehend passing time anymore, and it's not like you're still thinking currently in the situation. I'd rather have that than a form of hell. Yes, but why are we here then? If it's all for nothing in the end, it has never made sense to me. But I'm only one of millions, if not billions, feeling the same way. It's the knowing there can be something, then realizing you will eventually be nothing, and probably will never be something again. That's the torturous thing about it all. You're shown all this structure, seemingly infinite complexity and beauty, but then are ripped away from it at a moment you don't get to choose. If things go naturally, it almost feels like our existence is some kind of hell for something we did in another dimension. I still find it hard to think of all this as a cosmic accident as well. Even though I'd consider myself a nihilist, my mind just can't wrap itself around the idea of such powerful emotions and ideas being completely meaningless in the grand scheme of things. Like I could collapse a minute after typing out this paragraph. and will never become conscious of anything again. It's just so fucking fucked. Everything I hold dear is balancing on a cosmic needle tip. All these comments will still be here. Everyone continues living their life. Nothing changed apart from the fact that my body isn't moving around on this sphere anymore and people close to me are really sad for a while. Every word I learned, every piece of music I ever heard and all my other memories are just gone in a snap. Fuck. Good damn it. I feel you. Hope you can beat cancer. I wish people would go to wherever they wanted to, like, whatever their religion teaches. They'll go there. And if they're non-religious, then they can choose whatever they want to believe in. I don't know what'll happen to me, but I hope to see my friends again. When do we ever get what we wanted? I've heard that can't always get what you want, but sometimes you get what you need. Only if you try though. You just transfer to the next universe where you didn't die. I like this theory. It's called quantum immortality. We are stardust. I'd highly recommend watching The Egg by Andy Weir on YouTube. It's visualized by a channel called Kurzgesagt. Couple theories that I just fancy. 1. The self isn't really a thing, and consciousness is a universal aspect of reality. You are literally a part of a much bigger consciousness, but won't wake up to the reality that you never existed in the first place until the brain which creates the illusion of separation stops functioning. Universal consciousness is like an ocean. When you are born, a cup of water is drawn from that ocean. That is you. When you die, you pour the cup back into the ocean. 2. The brain is like a TV. It receives a signal, but does not create it. If the TV breaks, the signal doesn't discontinue, because it is still going to other TVs. The signal is the consciousness and just goes elsewhere. 3. Wake up from a long simulation. 4. You are reborn as the same person, and live the same life for seemingly forever, but you retain some knowledge each time around subconsciously. This is why some people are wise beyond their years, or have an old soul. Also why there are people in their 40s who still act like a child. Depends how many times you've been on the ride. Eventually you finally die, when you've lived with no regrets, and are ready to cease to exist. 5. The universe is in essence a living organism. God was just our biological parent. Perhaps God was an extra-dimensional alien that created our universe in a computer, but with slight modifications from God's universe due to the experiences that civilization had. The purpose of existence is for the universe to mature and grow, until eventually somebody in here is intelligent enough to create their own universe, slightly different than our own due to what we think would be better, and cycle of life continues. You just cease to exist personally. 6. You move to Earth 2, where everybody is on their second life and retained the knowledge of past life. Then Earth 3, 4, 5 etc. 7. You are actually God. But being omniscient is boring, so occasionally you make yourself ignorant and live a life. It creates mystery due to ignorance and everything is new again. You are literally just the universe being consciously aware of itself in human form. 8. Your consciousness can't exist in a universe where you are dead. So anytime you do die, it just shifts to a parallel universe where you didn't die. Then eventually somehow you attain immortality through technology or something. Obviously it just feels good to think about such things, even if they have no basis in fact. Lol. #7 is something I've thought, but never heard anyone else say. Is there a name for this idea? Check out Alan Watts. He talks about this idea a lot. Has hundreds of hours of lectures on YouTube.